At 6:35 p.m. Eastern Time, 1st of April, the ground at Kennedy Space Center violently shook. 8.8 million pounds of thrust tore through the Launch Complex 39B. 4 astronauts were strapped to the top of that towering rocket, riding a controlled explosion straight off the pad and into the darkening Florida sky. For the first time in over 50 years, humanity has cleared the tower on a mission back to deep space. Artemis II is underway. Welcome to Curiosity Well. I'm your host, and today we have a very special Day 1 update episode. If you listened to our last episode, you were primed and ready for the Artemis II launch. Well, the waiting is over. Yesterday at exactly 6:35 p.m. Eastern, humanity officially set its sights back onto the moon. Today we're going to break down exactly what happened during liftoff, how the crew is adjusting to life in the Orion capsule, and what massive orbital hurdle they have to clear next. Let's take a moment to appreciate the sheer raw power of the Space Launch System, or SLS. Launch Complex 39B at the Kennedy Space Center has seen its fair share of history, but yesterday was something else entirely. When those 2 tin solid rocket boosters and 4 RS-25 engines ignited, they produced 8.8 million pounds of thrust. To put that into perspective, you can imagine 14 fully loaded 747 jumbo jets all strapping their engines together and hitting the throttle to the max at the same time. That is the kind of brute force required to rip a spacecraft out of Earth's gravity well. The shockwave was so intense that spectators miles away felt it vibrating right through their ribcage. Once they cleared the tower and pushed through the atmosphere, the mechanics of spaceflight took over, and it was a flawless performance. The Orion spacecraft successfully separated from the massive core stage right on schedule, and now Orion was suddenly flying solo. And its very first job was survival. The spacecraft had to deploy its 4 massive solar arrays. You can't just plug into a wall outlet in orbit. Those panels are the literal lifeblood of the mission. They generate the power for the computers, the navigation, and most importantly, the life support keeping the crew breathing. Fortunately, all 4 arrays locked into place exactly as planned, instantly catching the sun and bringing the spacecraft fully online in the freezing vacuum of space. Shortly after, the spacecraft executed its first major engine burn, the apogee rise. In orbital mechanics, apogee is the highest point in an orbit around Earth. You can throw a baseball high into the air, and the apogee is the split second where the ball stops going up before it comes down. The Orion spacecraft fired its engine, and it's pushing its orbit higher and stretching it out into a massive ellipse around our planet. But what about the crew? Reid Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen immediately started working. Their first major assignment was something called the Proximity Operations Demonstration, or ProxOps. Basically, they used the spent upper stage of the rocket, the part that gave them the final push, as a target gun. The crew took manual control of the Orion to fly it in its close proximity to the upper stage. So why would they do this? Well, think about trying to back a trailer in a tight driveway. It's tricky on Earth. Now try doing it while floating in zero gravity, traveling at 17,000 miles per hour, using small thruster puffs. They need to prove they can manually dock and undock Orion for future missions, like when they eventually need to link up with the Lunar Gateway Station or whatever vessel will be ready and approved. The crew absolutely nailed it. But of course, it wouldn't be a spaceflight without a little bit of quirky human reality. While checking out the spacecraft systems, the crew reported a blinking fault light on, well, the space toilet. Mission Control is currently troubleshooting the plumbing. It's a great reminder that no matter how advanced our spacecraft are, going to space still means dealing with the mundane realities of biology. You can fly to the moon, but you still have to call the plumber. So where are they right now? Currently, the crew is getting some well-deserved rest, but when they wake up, they face the most critical maneuver of the entire mission, the Trans-Lunar injection, or TLI. Right now, they are still technically orbiting Earth. The TLI burn is the massive engine firing that will completely break them out of the Earth's orbit and slingshot them towards the moon. Breaking out of the orbit is not technically correct because they're still in the Earth's orbit. The apogee is so high that it's gonna cross and touch the moon's sphere of influence, but it still would have come back to Earth even if the moon wouldn't be there. To reach the moon, you can't just point your ship and hit gas. Because they are already racing around the Earth at 17 miles per hour, the TLI maneuver takes that orbit momentum and uses it as a slingshot. They will fire the main engines for over 20 minutes, adding thousands of miles per hour to their velocity, and extending the Earth's orbit at the precise mathematical moment required to intersect with where the Moon will be in several days from now. Once the burn is complete, there is no turning back. They will be trans-lunar. It is a breathtaking time to be alive, watching humans return to deep space. I will keep you updated as Artemis II continues to journey. Before we go, I want to leave you with a question. If you can put yourself in one of the astronauts on board right now, you feel like you're floating in the small capsule and look out the window and see the entire Earth filling your view. But in a few hours, you will fire an engine that will shrink that massive blue marble down to the size of a coin. What is going through your head? What are you feeling in that moment? Let me know what you think. And remember, I still want to do the Void mail segment, so please send your questions so we can be featured in the next episode. Until then, keep looking up, keep asking questions, and stay curious. Thanks for listening.